Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 267, and I'm Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph across the internet, and I will put in my screen here that shows you where you can find me on social media and the email address and everything. So today is Monday, December 18th. We're a week out from Christmas, and I've got a very busy day ahead of me, which is why I'm recording fairly early. It's only 8 in the morning, which is why the light might be a little different than it usually is. But this was it. It was either do it now or I wasn't sure when I was going to be able to record this week. So hopefully this will be okay. I have a welcome actually from the 90% Knitting Board, the introductions thread. Honora from Ohio said hello and introduced herself. So hi, Honora. Thank you so much for watching the podcast. It's been a really long time since anybody's used that thread to introduce themselves. So please feel free to hop over there. If you've never introduced yourself, I'd love to be able to say hi to you there. It's completely, voluntary, obviously, but it's there. Let's see. I already recorded the first part of this podcast once, but I had started earlier when it was not light enough to do it without extra lights on. And then I got partway through it and realized the lighting was so horrible. And then I looked outside. I'm like, oh, it's bright enough now. I don't need those lights on. So I turned the lights off and I stopped. And you can see Tippy back here. She's running around. She's like a little maniac today. She was actually in here when I first started recording. If I remember, I'll try to put that clip at the very end. The lighting will be goofy and it'll be me saying, hi, welcome to 90% Knitting again. But Tippy was with me at that point, so maybe I'll put that in at the end so you can get a little bit of a Tippy fix. Anyway, like I said, we are a week out from Christmas now, so hopefully if you celebrate Christmas and you're also getting ready, you're not too crazy. I've been trying to remain very mindful about just consciously not getting too stressed out about stuff. Every day I kind of look at my mental to-do list because I've not actually written it down yet. But I look at it, I think about it, and I think, okay, what can I eliminate? Because I've found that the key to good stress management sometimes is eliminating things that just really don't have to be done. Because the world will not end if they don't happen. And yeah, so that's been quite freeing to be able to say, nope, just not doing that. Or if I don't get to it, it's not a big deal. So let's get started. My first couple of objects that I'm going to talk about, I can't even show you because I can't show them to you. The first one is my husband's hat, which technically I can show you. Here it is. I finished it and then I wrapped it immediately and I didn't even think about the fact that I didn't get to show you. So here it is. Excuse me. I finished it. I mean, it was pretty straightforward. I just, I'll put a picture in here. I do have a picture of it. But it was an enjoyable knit. I hope he'll like it. Like I said, it matches those mittens that I made for him last year. And I think he'll like it because the ribbing is he can roll the ribbing up and it'll be nice and warm against his ears and it should fit him the way he likes. So fingers crossed, because the one he's wearing right now that I made him a year or so ago is really looking pretty ratty because he wears it all the time. So, I mean, that's a good thing. You want people to wear the things you make them, but sometimes you need to replace them too. So, the hat for my husband is done, and that was out of my Cozy Base yarn. My worsted, superwash worsted yarn. Then the frosted whimsy hat that I was making for my daughter also was finished. But I put that in the mail to her because that was the whole point. It was going in a little, pick-me-up kind of care package that I was shipping off to her. But that I knit out of my Beguiled base, which is my sparkly DK weight. And the colorway I dyed up specifically for her. And I did put some of it in the shop as well the last update, I guess, or the last week. I think it's all gone. I do have some more coming in this week's shop update, though, but I'll tell you more about that later. So Yeah, I basically did that hat the same way I knit my Christmas stripes hat that I did a couple weeks ago, except on DK and smaller needles. So I did it on the ribbing on US 4s and the hat part on US 5s. Coffee today with one of my favorite Christmassy mugs. Anyway, it turned out fine. I thought it turned out a little bit too snug. I was going for snug with the ribbing because I'm always afraid that ribbing's going to stretch out. That has been my experience. And then, you know, you have to wash it to get it to shrink back up. So I knit 80 stitches on US 4s for the ribbing, and then I went up to 5s. Actually, I knit the ribbing, and then the next round after the ribbing, I increased, still on the 4s, but I increased 20 more stitches, so there was 100 stitches. Then I went to the US 5s to knit the rest of the hat. Then I did a series of 5 vertical double decreases to finish it at the top. I was going for a slightly slouchy hat. I didn't want it to be really, really slouchy, but she had also made the comment to me that she prefers slouchy hats over really fitted beanies. So I didn't want it to be super fitted. As it turns out, I mean, I made it longer than I normally would, you know, going for that little bit slouchy. But because it was also quite small because of the smaller needles, when it stretched, it lost some of its length. So it wasn't nearly as slouchy as I had gone for. It was still loose. It was not a tight-fitting hat, but it wasn't nearly as loose as I would have liked it. And in the pictures, it's on one of my styrofoam head things. It looks much tighter on there than it's going to look on her. Anyway, I mailed it to her along with, you know, some hot cocoa mix and M&Ms and stuff, and she loved it. I got a Snapchat from her with her wearing the hat, and she was all excited, and she's like, oh, and she said, it fits perfectly. It's like a hug for my head. She goes, seriously, this is like the best fitting hat I've ever had. I'm like, wow, okay, I guess I won't worry about it, and hopefully I took really good notes so that I can recreate it again sometime. I did end up putting a pom-pom on it because she and I also had a discussion about pom-poms on hats. I said, you know, clarify for me, where are we with that pom-pom thing? And she said, well, if it's a tight-fitting beanie, they're okay, but if they're a really slouchy hat, then I don't like pom-poms. So I'm like, great, this is sort of in between those two extremes. So I erred on the side of a pom-pom because I figure pom-pom, you know. So, yeah, and she liked it. She really liked it. So I'm glad that was a good, successful pre-Christmas gift knit. And she's enjoying that. Except now 2 of her friends want one. Her roommate wants one, and then her one friend, Heather from up here, who actually used to help me with yarn stuff, she was down there this weekend visiting Emma, and she wants one too. So I'm like, okay. Said I can't make any promises about that happening by Christmas, but I will knit them hats eventually. So there was that. The other project that I actually forgot to bring over, and I'm not going to get up and get it now just because I can put a picture in here. It's sort of on a hiatus, and it's the Sweet Fern Mitts by Clara Parks from the Knitter's Book of Wool. I believe I had the first one done when I showed it to you last time, I think. And if I didn't, I know I talked about this issue. I felt like the cable on the first one was going to be off-center. It felt like it was not centered right. There were issues with that pattern. Like I said, the cable chart was done incorrectly, so my cable was actually upside down compared to how it's supposed to be, which I didn't care about that. That was fine. I don't know if the cable issue, though, the spacing of the cable issue was a written problem in the pattern, or if it was just my own operator error, because when I started the second mitten, or the second mitt, I finished the first one, I started the second, and as I was working that up, and I got to where the thumb gusset was starting, I looked at it, and I realized, just putting it on that way, the cable was going to be completely centered. It was perfect. But then I compared the two, and that's the picture I will put in here. The finished one compared to the one in progress, you can see the one in progress has an entire rib in between the thumb gusset and the cable that is not present in the first one that I knit. So I have not gone back to the book. I haven't looked to see if that was, you know, an error in the pattern or if it was my mistake. It could go either way, honestly. And if it was my mistake, I wouldn't be surprised. However, that would really bug me. I cannot have the two mitts not matching in that way. Plus, I really want the cables to be centered. So I'm going to rip out the first mitt completely and re-knit it. The second one I'm just going to finish, obviously, because it's going fine. But this is one of those decisions I made. I am not knitting these for Christmas at this point. Besides the fact Emma's already getting enough knitted stuff for Christmas, I'm not pushing myself to try to get those done. It's a really enjoyable knit. I like it even despite the issues with the pattern. But I love the yarn. It's Cascade 220's Heathers in the Blueberry Heather colorway. And I like knitting the cables. They're a lot of fun. It's a pretty memorizable pattern as well for the most part. So I'll just do it when I can take my time and enjoy it and do it right. And if it is an issue with the pattern and I can't find errata anywhere, see, I did not see this issue in anybody else's picture. So I'm really leaning towards the fact that either everybody else reads errata before they start knitting or I just screwed up. So like I said, it could go either way. Anyway, the only thing on my needles right now, and I'll show it to you just because I've obviously not been showing you much of anything, is, you know, this gusseted helmet liner, which I can't remember if I think I showed this to you. I'm knitting this for my son, and this is as far as I've gotten. So this is the neck part, that'll be on his neck. And then this is the part that kind of comes up right here. And now I need to knit the rest of the head, but what I didn't do, I ignored the directions in the pattern that said to do this on a separate needle, thinking, oh, I don't need to do that. I'll just knit it back and forth on here. Well, no, I actually do need it to be on a separate needle because you can see that's that whole part right there. But to do the next step, it actually does need to be on a separate needle because I have to cast on additional stitches now. So really, I have not worked on this since the last time I recorded, but that is only because I've been lazy and have not gotten another set of needles out. Once I do, I know I can bang this thing out because I do want this one to be done for Christmas. I feel like, oh, no, it's not an error. Never mind. Yeah, this is actually the only thing left on my needles that I intend to finish for Christmas. Nothing else is going to be a Christmas gift at this point, and that's fine. I have knitted things for everybody at this point, and that's perfectly fine. Anyway, this is Katia yarn, Azteca, which is I think it's a wool acrylic blend. It's washable. It'll be fine. Hopefully my son will like it. It's what I made his Afghan out of a few years ago, so I had leftovers. And he likes black and gray, so. Anyway, all right, so that's yet to be finished for Christmas. The only other things that I really worked on, sorry, I have a tickle in my throat today, is I've been keeping up with the Holiday Countdown minis, both fiber and yarn. So I've done day 18. Today's day 18. I've gotten those both done, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what's on my wheel right now. So if you don't want to see what day 18 looked like, or actually the last few days, because you can actually see about 4 days worth of fiber on here right now, you might want to look away and mute because I'm going to talk about it, but just for like a minute. So here we go. Yeah, it's funny. These two look very similar, and they're not actually, but the lighting in here is not stellar at the moment either. Yeah, so it's coming along nicely, and let's see, this one way over here, this was some Color Pops in blue. I don't remember which fiber though. This is some Misty Mountain. This is a color that I kind of did specially for the minis called What Sorcery. Sorry. It's on Mixed BFL. You can tell that because it's got that dark undertone. And then this was today's. This is on Falkland, and this was Berry, Dark Berry, which actually was also another, oh, shoot, sorry, another colorway that I did specifically, like it's a one-off colorway. I don't know that I'll ever dye it again. I probably could, but I tried to do a few fiber colorways that were just different than what I would usually do. So yeah, it's been so much fun spinning these. And I do have enough space left on this bobbin. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to fit the rest of the days in because there's only 6 days left. And of those 6 days, there's only one day that I have 2, like an extra one. So I think those are all fit on there. And that will just leave me with like a little handful of very small fiber scraps left from some of the days that I did not incorporate in as I went. So I may just add those at the end. I don't know. But then I'm going to, again, chain ply them and hopefully be able to knit like a big squishy cowl or something. I'm really excited to see it plied up. I know Sarah, PA Knitwit, she's finished spinning her singles and she was going to work on plying this weekend. So I have not gotten to see if she got everything plied or not yet. So I haven't heard. Sarah, have you gotten it plied? I would really like to see your yarn. Okay, so that's the fiber. I have been doing the minis as well, which again, I don't have full days worth, like full 10 grams of the minis that I'm working on. I'm just using like little leftovers. But I'm working them into my granny stripes Afghan, and I'm just going to pull this out like this because it's super huge right now. But if you look at, here, I'll do, nope, well that'll work. Okay, if you look at this, the little mitten progress keeper, that's where the holiday minis start, that row. So that's how much I have put on. The minis that I've had have added that many rows, probably about, I don't know, 4.5, 5 inches. And I have a different amount for every day, like, you know, like I said, it's just the leftovers from the ones that I sent out. But it's so enjoyable, and I'm really proud of myself for keeping up with it. I think there was only like maybe one day in there where I just did not have time to work on it, and so but I caught up the next day, so it all worked out. Other than that, the only project that I have really put a lot of time into, and that is also not like me taking the time, but just having the time, usually when we're sitting at the table after breakfast or after dinner, I've left this sitting on the table and I've been working on it, and that's the Project Peace cowl. The pattern is by Christina Campbell, and it's Project Peace 2017. And I've made a lot of progress on it. So it's quite large at this point. Yeah. So as you can see, it starts out here at the point, and then it just keeps growing. And you're doing little garter ridges, but every time the garter ridges grow, like the space between the garter ridges. So, you know, down here there's 4 stockinette rows and then a garter ridge. Then there's 6 on a garter ridge, and then 8, and so forth. It just keeps growing by 2 stockinette rows before you do the next garter ridge. And it's cool. I mean, I originally had thought, oh, this is mostly stockinette, but it's actually not. I mean, you've got those garter ridges in there to give it a little bit of interest. And you're doing the increases every other row, every right side row. You're getting this really pretty little eyelet edge. So I'm really enjoying it. You know, I've memorized the pattern. This was the 17th ripple. She calls these garter ridges ripples. So this was the 17th one. I'm doing this on DK weight yarn. This is Hazelnut's Cadence Base, which is a worsted weight, actually, I believe. I don't know. I have this so confused because I was looking at so many things at the same time when I started this, but I'm pretty sure this is her worsted weight base, and it's in the heirloom colorway. So, and I have at least 600 yards. That's what the ball band says. The big wheels have at least 600 yards. So for the pattern, the DK weight, you could either do the small version or the large. The large says it takes 600 yards, so I'm going to do the large, and I'm going to just do it all in this same colorway since I have that much of it, and that way I'll be able to use it all up. Because I figure even if I start to run short and don't get all the repeats of the feather and fan edging in, it's fine. I'll just bind off early. I don't care about that. but I don't want to have leftovers of this yarn. I would just like to use it all up because it's beautiful, and I am loving. Let's see if I can find a good spot to show you this. There are these pops of this deep, deep red. Like, can you see, like, right in through here? Those, I don't know. They're really not showing up super well. Again, lighting isn't great, but they're just so pretty. I just love the textured look of this colorway. It's stunning. So I'm going to just do that for the whole thing. But anyway, the large version, the small version, you stop after the 17th ripple, and then you do the, there's an eyelet ridge or an eyelet row, and then you go into the feather and fan. But if you're doing the large, you do 2 more sections with the ripples. So I'm doing that. So I'm on section 18, then I'll do section 19. Then I get to go on to the edging. So, and then we'll see if I can get through that feather and fan without error. It's not my best friend historically. So, okay, so that's it. That's pretty much all I have been working on. I did put a little bit of work into my Mountain House autumn sock the other day, only because I needed a like chatter friendly project to work on, because I went to an open house at a local yarn store, and I knew I was going to be sitting and knitting with people around, and that was easy to work on. But otherwise, I'm not actively working on that right now. Let's see. I do have something I'll be casting on, and this is with a new purchase, and it jingles. I purchased some yarn from Tangled Strings, who's on Etsy, and that's Sandy. She's SJ Ringle on Instagram, I think. Anyway, her yarn company is called Tangled Strings, and she had this fabulous colorway. This it's called Christmas Hippie, and I got it on her sparkly base, or I'm sorry, Hippie Christmas, not Christmas Hippie. It is a it's like my bedazzled base, essentially. It's the same composition, superwash merino nylon stellina, and it's just beautiful. And she was offering this colorway along with you could get either the red or the green for the heels and toes. And I messaged her on Etsy, and I'm like, can I get one of each and just, you know, pay you for the extra one? And she's like, sure. So she did these up for me, and I'm going to do one sock with a red heel and a green toe, and the other sock I'm going to do the opposite, a green heel with a red toe. I'll probably just do the cuff in this main color. Yeah. But I think it'll be so much fun. So I can't wait to cast those on. And it came with this little Jingle Bell Progress Keeper. So anyway, I'm excited. This is going to be my Christmas cast on, my Christmas Eve cast on. I was going to use those socks that I had already cast on in that Arnie and Carlos colorway that looks like it's sort of Christmassy, but it's not really Christmassy. It's called Summer Night. But I thought, you know what? No, I actually want to cast on something new. And I have a whole stash of new sock needles just waiting to be used because, you know, when you can't find enough sock needles in your chosen size, you buy more. At least that's me. So yeah, I am ready to go with that, and I cannot wait. So, well, I'm not ready to go. I obviously have to skein the yarn or ball the yarn up, but other than that, I've got it chosen. That's part of the process. So, I did do a second December extra video last week, and that was showing you a bunch of patterns that I have set aside that I would like to draw on for inspiration and for new cast-ons in 2018. I feel like I've given people the wrong impression with that list, because I did put the list of what they all are up in a Ravelry thread in the group. It is not a hard and fast list. Like, that is not my list. I'm going to say I'm going to knit absolutely everything in this list. That wasn't my point. It was just, I love these patterns, and these are ones that I can see myself wanting to knit, and so I'm going to really work from those, because obviously I'm always knitting socks, and I don't have any sock patterns in there, but I mostly knit plain vanilla socks also, so it's not, you know, that big of a deal. And had hats. I mean, there was a couple of hat patterns, I guess. But, you know, like, there are going to be other things I'll definitely knit. But those are ones that I really want to work on. So if you want to check out that video, that you can see a whole bunch of patterns. And there are a lot of people who have been commenting like, oh, I have some of those patterns that I want to knit next year too. So if there's enough patterns like that, we could probably do some like informal knit-alongs where we're all maybe knitting on a certain pattern around the same time. You know, it doesn't have to be anything official, but it's kind of fun to be able to do that with each other and talk about the pattern. So that's always an option. As far as official knit-alongs, we've got the A Year in the Life of a Knitter knit-along. I have not yet mailed out the November prizes, which I did announce a week or so ago. I'm hoping to have time to sit at my computer and process all that shipping for those prizes today. But they will be coming to you. I don't know if I've heard from everyone. There might be one or two people still outstanding. I can't remember now. But from people that I've heard from, if it's something I need to mail to you, I will be getting that out to you hopefully this week. Otherwise, we're in December. December's a very easy, just no pressure kind of month. You know, there's still chatter going on in the group, so please join us if you would like to. But our focus is just whip management, and basically that's, you know, start thinking about what you have on the needles. If it's stuff that's been there forever, do you want to continue it or do you want to frog it? And then we're going to pick up from there in January when we do our finish or frog it month in January. So I'll talk more about that in January. Yeah, well, or maybe the next podcast. I plan to be able to record at least one more podcast before the end of December. That's my plan. So, you know what? Let me back up here for a moment. When I was talking about the minis for that I'm putting in my granny stripe blanket, I forgot last time I recorded that we did have a question in the the question thread on the 90% knitting group. I did answer it in the thread, so this person isn't hanging out there waiting and waiting, but TLCIN had asked what kind of projects I would recommend to do with, you know, these Advent mini skeins or these holiday countdown minis. And I had just said, you know, they're great for if you're working on scrappy blankets like Granny Stripes blankets or Cozy Memories blankets, anything like that. A lot of people I've seen doing scrappy socks, so like the Franken socks kind of thing. I know Beagle Knitter Mom, Angela, I'm sorry, I know I always get your name backwards, but Angela, she's been doing socks with her minis, and they're super cute, and I love seeing her progress every day. I believe she's splitting each day's mini in two and then working the socks concurrently, so they each have all the same colorways. So that's an option. I know a lot of podcasters have been doing the Land of Sweets Cowl by Helen Stewart, which I believe was a pattern she wrote specifically to use these kind of mini sets from the holiday kind of Advent sets. That's part of her Knit Vent collection for this year, so you can find that on Ravelry. So those are just some ideas. I think they're also really cool if you don't want to use them all right away. I know a lot of people do tend to open them and then want to use them right away, but I don't see anything wrong with just opening them, and if you don't have a use for them at that immediate time, you can save them and use them as like fun little stripes in hats or other garments. Oh, somebody, who is it? Mary, Mima Cox. She's doing a sweater, a complete sweater out of all of her minis. It's fabulous. So yeah, there's so many different ideas that you can do. Pretty much any pattern, really. I mean, you can just do it with minis and it'll look fun and scrappy, and if that's your jam, you know. Or wait until you have them all open and then kind of group them in colors, and then you could do like a fade sort of thing, or like sort of a rainbow kind of gradient. You know, there's lots of options. So hopefully something like that works for you. I hope you found a good project to use yours for. Okay, let's jump back to where we were talking about knit-alongs. Several weeks ago, I mentioned that I had been planning to do a designer-centric series of knit-alongs next year. I'm regretting having said that on the podcast because it was definitely premature of me to say that because I had not had time to really plan out any of the details. I had this general mindset of what I wanted that to be. However, the more I've thought about it, and really been trying to work out details for it and make it workable, not just for the podcast and for doing the knit along, but also for me time-wise, because I knew what I wanted to do as a part of that, and it was going to be rather time-intensive. I have just come to the determination that this is not the time for me to do that particular knit along. I still love the idea, and I still definitely want to do it because I love promoting new designers and indie designers. That I do enjoy doing that, and I intend to do that just throughout the year anyway. Anytime I'm knitting something from a newer designer or anybody, I always let you know that. But for what I wanted to do for the knit along, it's just not the right time for me to pursue that. So I believe I have messaged or emailed anybody who had contacted me about wanting to be a part of that as a designer. I believe I've gotten back to all of you now and let you know that I am putting that project on hold. I sent those messages out earlier today. Yeah, so I apologize if I got anybody's hopes up really big about that. But believe me, I have other projects, much more doable knit-alongs that I think we can all enjoy for the coming year. So I hope you will take part in that. And I have things that I want to do based out of the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group as well. And I have one main thing that is going to be running in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group all of next year that I'm very excited about. And I will give you the details about that in the next podcast, which will be the last one of 2017. So you will be able to know what that's all about once January 1st gets here. So, let's see. I announced a drawing winner last week. It was for the Mega Rose Shawl pattern by Jennifer Lassonde. The winner was number 14, who is Twisting Pearls. Eileen, I haven't heard from you yet. So if you hear this week, please PM me, let me know you won, and then I will get the pattern to you via Jennifer. If I don't hear from you, I will try to remember to contact you directly, next week, and get that sent out to you. Okay, I've got a couple of new things I want to show you. I already showed you the yarn that's going to be my Christmas Eve cast on, but I do have a couple of other things. I ordered some fiber a couple weeks ago, and it's beautiful. And this is from Yarn Wench, who is Lynn. She's on Instagram. I can't remember what her Instagram name is. It might just be Lynn Weigel, which is her name. But she's the Yarn Wench on Etsy. And let's see, is her Etsy address in here? Let's see. Sorry. I know she had a card in here. So yeah, it's Yarn Wench. Her name's Lynn Weigel. Yarnwench.etsy.com. And she dyes the most beautiful fibers. She does a lot of bats that have, it's not just the fiber, but then she does this real like blingy kind of locks and stuff that you can put in with them. The photos of her fiber alone are just gorgeous. I've never purchased one of her bats because bats aren't my favorite thing to spin. But she had a lot of just fiber braids in recently, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm totally getting those. So here's one. I bought two. This is some Falkland, and the colorway is Aurora. Isn't that beautiful? I just love her color blends. I mean, they're just stunning. So this is a gradient. Actually, both of these are gradients, and I have a plan for these, but let me show you the second one first. So that one was Aurora on Falworth. This is, or Falworth, Falkland. This is Polworth, and the colorway is called Just Beachy. And again, just beautiful color blends in this. And again, it's, they're both 4-ounce braids. My plan for these, I'm not going to spin them up as gradients. Like, I'm not going to spin them end to end and then, or, from one end to the other and then 2-ply or 3-ply it, Navajo ply. I am going to split these lengthwise so that I have at least, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe I'll do eight long segments of the fiber, and then then I will do the chain plying. So that will give me a self-striping yarn. That's what I really want to do with these. So we'll see how that works out. I've never done that with a gradient fiber before, but it sounds like a fun idea, and I've seen it done, so that's what I'm hoping to do with these. I honestly feel like I had no business buying fiber because I've got so much of it in my stash as it is, but her colors are just beautiful, and I've looked at them for so long, and I could not resist, so I bought them. Let's see. Oh, and then the other thing, I think I alluded to this earlier, I went to an open house basically on Saturday. It was called Mingle and Jingle at the Rags yarn shop, which is in a tiny little village, about a half hour from me, I guess. It's in Forbes Road, PA. If you're not from around here, you've probably never heard of this. It's near Greensburg, sort of, Delmont. Maybe you've never heard of Delmont either. Anyway, the woman who owns it, Tony, she's the one who coordinates the Rags Fiber Affair and Wool Market that I've vended at the last couple of times it's happened, which happens in October and April. And she's got this just adorable little shop in this little village of Forbes Road. It's in a house. The bottom floor has a few different rooms. It's just full of such cool stuff. But anyway, Saturday she closes during the winter just because of weather and access and everything. But she has occasional play dates, I guess, that you can go to, which I'm hoping to get to this winter before she reopens again in April. But anyway, this was her last day of being open on Saturday. So I went. I'm not the best social knitter, but I went and I took my knitting and, I looked and I did shop, and I'm going to show you what I bought. But, I'm sitting around this table with people that I don't know, and I'm such an introvert. It's terrible. And then finally, somebody did show up that I did know, who was Rebecca from Dusty Tree Soaps and yarn. She does yarn now. And I know Rebecca from vending, so that was fun. I got to talk to her. But anyway, I bought a few things, and they're super fun. So let me show you what I got. I got this yarn that is by The Prairie. There is no URL or anything on here. I'll have to look up and see if I can find information about her. I don't know if she sells, online or not, but it's a farm. And this yarn is just some really fun sheepy kind of yarn. There's little tweedy flecks in there. Now, there wasn't a lot of her yarn there, but one of the ones that I had been looking at said that it was fin sheep. This one does not specify. It just says all the fleecy critters grew the fleece that made this farm blend yarn for you. So it's a farm blend. I just don't know what that means. I'm going to assume there's some fin in it. And it smells sheepy. I just don't know for sure what's in it. So I'm hopeful that I can find that out. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this yet. It's 400 yards of a 3-ply sport weight. But it's just so squishy and lovely. So anyway, I bought that just because I've heard of her yarn before and I have never gotten to try it. So there was that. And then she had all kinds of different needles in stock. She had these Lika needles, which I've been hearing everybody talk about. And I've never seen them in person before. They are from, where are they from? Well, it says they're made in India, but I thought they had something to do with Norway, maybe. I don't really know. Anyway, they're made from driftwood, so they're wooden needles. They're all different colors because the woods vary. I haven't even taken them out of the packages yet, but they do look like they have a similar feel or shine to them the way the Knitter's Pride Dreams wooden needles have, which I really like. So it doesn't look like it would be a super grippy wooden needle. I got them in US 4 and US 6, mostly because those are usually good needle sizes to try things out. She did have them in US 1s, but I was not up for doing wooden needles in a 1 because I've never had luck with wooden needles in a 1. I always feel like I'm going to snap them like toothpicks. So anyway, I'll give those a try and let you know what I think. And then I bought this set of buttons. I do not have any idea what I'm going to do with these buttons. I mean, if I had like a little girl to knit for, they would be perfect, but they're just beautiful. And these were from Cynthia Crane's Pottery, which is on Etsy, cynthiacranespottery.etsy.com. And they're just beautiful little flower buttons. So I'll hang on to those and find something to put them on eventually. And I did buy a Christmas tree ornament too that's like a little Christmas stocking with some hand stitching on it with a moose. I couldn't resist that. Actually, I was looking at it this morning. I'm thinking maybe it's supposed to be a reindeer, but it looks like a moose to me, so I'm going with moose. Anyway, that was my fun thing that I got to do this past week. Yeah, that's about it for 90%, I think. I don't think I've forgotten to tell you anything this week. As far as 10%, again, it's mostly just getting ready for the holidays. Emma will be coming home on Saturday. She won't get in until super, super late, though. They're driving up. So she'll be home for a little over a week, so that'll be lovely. This Thursday is the winter solstice. And while that's not like a big holiday or anything that I celebrate in a religious kind of sense, it is my holiday, my winter holiday that several years ago I adopted as my special day, which might sound silly, but here's my rationale. Nobody else claims winter solstice that I know, like within my family or anything. And so I chose that day as the day to do a really nice dinner. And I try to just take that day. I try not to work that day, so I'm planning to take Thursday off and use it just as a day of calm and reflection and preparing my meal and just embracing that day that is the shortest day of the year, with the knowledge that there is hope, that the days are now going to get longer and the darkness will be less. That's just always been something very symbolic for me and very meaningful. And it's a day that I have actively chosen to recognize and embrace. I know it sounds kind of frou-frou-y to some people, like, but I don't care because I enjoy it. I always do a really nice meal. And the last few years with Emma being away, it's just been like Bill and Christopher and I, my son. This year, though, 3 of my girlfriends are going to also be coming. So it's actually going to be like a big dinner with people. And like I said, I always do a standing rib roast. That's my meal that I do then. And, a bunch of other stuff. And I always take time to make a really nice centerpiece of some sort. I do a different one every year, and I usually use, like pine or holly or, whatever from outside, and wood and candles, just to have warmth, for that night. So I am really looking forward to that, in case you can't tell. It was funny, I was at the grocery store the other day, basically shopping for Thursday, and I bought the rib roast, and I was at the meat counter, and the woman who was, getting it for me and everything, she was asking me, she said, "Oh, are you making this for Christmas?" And I thought she was just being conversational. So I said, "Oh, no, I'm making it on Thursday." And she went like this, and I could tell she was doing some sort of computing in her mind, but I thought she was trying to figure out, like, well, what's Thursday? Like, why would you be making this Thursday? In retrospect, like, why would she care? I could just be making it for dinner Thursday. So I voluntarily started babbling, and I'm like, "It's the winter solstice," I said. And then she looked at me funny, and I'm like, "Well, I know it's not like a huge holiday, but like, I do a nice dinner on winter solstice because I know my kids can be there usually, or, people aren't running around like on Christmas." And like, I just continued to babble, and she just was like, she's like, "Okay, well, you can really only leave this meat in your refrigerator for 3 days before cooking it, before it'll start to get funny. So you really want to freeze this, because that's 5 days away." She was just basically telling me proper meat care. She goes, "This was just cut today, so it's good for like 3 days in the fridge, but beyond that, you want to freeze it." I'm like, "Oh, okay." She said, "Freeze it, get it out Tuesday, it'll be good." All right. And so I'm waiting, and she wrapped it up and gave it to me. And then as I'm, getting ready to walk away, she's like, well, have a great holiday season. She goes, enjoy your winter solstice. And she said it really loud, kind of. At least it sounded loud to me. And like the people around me are looking like, what? I'm like, thank you. It was just weird. It was just a funny little exchange. Anyway, so yeah, that's my winter solstice prep story. But I am planning to take Thursday off work and just enjoy my day of darkness and roast. The other thing I was going to tell you in 10% was somebody had commented about my little reindeer dude up in the window and said how cute he was and everything. There's a story behind him, and I just thought I would share it real quick. Way back several years ago when my oldest son was in the Marines and he was preparing to leave on his first deployment to Afghanistan. He was leaving in January, like kind of early January. So in December for the holidays, I went down and picked him up from North Carolina, and I believe I also picked up my grandson that year and brought them up, and so they were at our house for Christmas. And then I drove them back down, dropped my grandson off at his house, and then took my son back to base. Well, we were planning to go back down, like the whole family was going to go down to see him off for his deployment a couple weeks later. But that day that I took him back was basically the last day that I was going to get to spend with him alone. And I was basically an emotional mess by that point because I just kept thinking he's leaving, he's going on this deployment, it's going to be dangerous, like thinking all those kind of thoughts. And I was just having such a hard time. And so by the time I left base, I was just sobbing, and it was ugly crying, and, I was going to see him again in a couple of weeks. So it was silly, but it was, I'm a mom, and that's how it went. So anyway, on my drive home, I was actually supposed to stop and spend the night at a friend, so I didn't have to do the whole drive that day, but I just couldn't. I was too emotionally wrecked, and I just wanted to drive home. So I drove through the night, but I left around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and while it was still light out, or it was still light out when I stopped at a Starbucks to get coffee. And, at Christmas time, how Starbucks has all kinds of little things sitting around, mugs and and they have these too. They had these little reindeer stuffies there, and I saw him and I just had to have him. And I do not usually buy that kind of stuff, but for whatever reason, I needed this reindeer. And so I bought the reindeer, and he sat in the passenger side seat with me on my way home, and he was my travel buddy. And I know that sounds super silly, but he helped get me through that drive home when I was just emotionally overwrought. I also remember on that drive home, I was listening to the Eat, Love, Pray audiobook, which I gotta tell ya, that is probably not the best book to listen to when you're driving in the middle of the night, in the dark, winding around country roads, and you've been crying and you're listening to her talk because her voice is very calm, and it's like she started putting me to sleep. Although I did enjoy the audiobook. I had not been able to read that book. I don't know, it was boring to me, but I did enjoy listening to it. I think it's by Elizabeth Gilbert. That's neither here nor there. But that's the story of my reindeer. That's how he came to be with me. So he always just hangs out with me every year. He's my little friend. Some years I leave him out longer than Christmas just because, he's my bud. All right, let's move on to shop news. I do have some. I want to let you know I added some more sock blanks to the shop this late last week, as well as Xenolith kits. As far as the sock blanks, I do believe most of them are gone. When I looked last this morning, there were still 2. Okay, so this one, I'm going to try to do more of these up for this Wednesday's update. These have been selling super fast. This is my Sprigs and Baubles pattern, and people have really liked this, so I think I'm going to try to do one more release of these. This will be the last one, obviously, because Christmas is coming up, but I'm going to try to dye more of these up. This one is getting mailed out to whoever purchased it today. So, but I wanted to show you the design. The other ones was I had put up more of the No 2 Snowflakes blanks. So this one is still available in the shop as far as I know. It's a non-sparkle one. And then I tried out a new design. It kind of turned out a little funky, but I'm calling it Quirky Snowmen because they do look a little quirky. I need to refine this design if I try it again, but this one is still available. And again, it's a non-sparkle blank, so it's just, you know, these quirky snowmen and these little stick pine trees and lots of speckles and fun. So I believe that one's still available. But as far as the Xenolith kits, these were in the shop after my last show. I did not have any of the peacock, the dark to peacock ones left. They sold at the show, but I've had these brights. So this was the combination for the brights. So there's still these in the shop. However, I have re-released these, or kind of done a new release because I've changed some things up. The sample hat for this color combo was knit with this really light flash freeze blue. And so that is what is in this kit. However, I've now changed things up that you can choose your own main color. So you can choose from between this light blue, or you can choose soft black, wisp gray, or like a white undyed color. So any of the Xenolith kits that are in the shop, you get your choice of main color for it. And I'll just add it to your kit. So there are still some of the bright sets left. I dyed up a whole new batch of the peacock, the dark to peacock, and I think there's only one left. People really, really like this color combo. Let me see if I can get the colors in the, well, this is actually not the order that the hat was done in, but this is the dark to peacock gradient. So that's one option. And like I said, I think there's only one left in there. There might be two, I don't remember. Anyway, but then I did two other color combos that I've not had in the shop for these before. And we don't have sample hats for them, but again, you can just mix and match and do them however you'd like. So there is this one, which is the bonfire gradient. I think I'm going to make one of these. I love this gradient. And again, you can put it together with whichever main color you would like to do. And then the other one is the Arctic Dreams colorway. This is a colorway, actually, that I have not released in the shop yet. I'm going to be releasing this colorway in a specific way in January, but I did this mini set for this hat pattern using the colorway. But this is actually going to be coming as a legit, like, self-striping colorway come January. But it's called Arctic Dreams. So that is not so much a gradient, but it's a set of mini colors. So those are in the shop. Okay, so there is going to be a shop update this week. It will be on Wednesday, which is December 20th at 6 p.m. Eastern. I decided to do it Wednesday instead of Friday just because Friday is right there at the edge of the holiday weekend with Christmas being on Monday. I figured that's when everybody's going to be super busy and, you know, have other things to focus on. I probably will too. So I thought Wednesday made more sense. There's only one issue with doing it this Wednesday is I dyed a whole bunch of stuff yesterday. I'm finishing up the dyeing for this update today, and then I'm going to need time to reskein, and because it's all self-striping. So I need time to get it reskeined and then, you know, put up on the website and shipped out once people order things. That's going to take a little bit of extra time, though, because it is a holiday week. So I just want to give you the heads up now that there's probably going to be a bit of a shipping delay compared to how quickly I usually get stuff out. I usually get most shipping out within a day or two of ordering it. My policy is that I ship within 3 business days. So that being the case, the update's Wednesday evening. That would be Thursday, Friday. Monday would usually be the 3rd business day, but Monday's Christmas. So Tuesday will be the 3rd business day. So at the very outset, whatever you order on Wednesday will be shipped by Tuesday of next week. I apologize for that length of time in between, but with the holiday, and like I said, I'm taking Thursday off because winter solstice, my own personal holiday, and I'm having company that day. Nothing much is probably going to get done work-wise that day. So I just want to be upfront about that. There will probably be a bit of a shipping delay for this update. but I'll get it out to you as quickly as possible. So let me tell you what's going to be in the update. Again, everything is either still drying or I'm dyeing it today, so I don't have any of it to show you, but I do have pictures of it to show you from past updates, just because, like I said, this is a favorites update. So these are all past colorways. There are no new colorways in this update. So there will be some 7 Deadly Sins, and I've got that dyed up on Bounce, Traveler, and Squish. Star Trekkie will be going up on Bounce, Bedazzled, and Traveler. Then I've got my 2 Pittsburgh Sports colorways that were requests. Here We Go, which is a Steelers themed colorway. That should be up on Bounce and Squish. Elvis Has Left the Building should be up on Bounce, Heavenly, and Squish. Heavenly. Favorite Flannel Jammies was a request. That will be up on Bounce and Traveler. Frosted Whimsy. Actually, technically, Frosted Whimsy was not a request, but it sold out really fast whenever I had it in the shop on the DK weight base last update, so I decided to do some on fingering weight. I'm planning to dye up more of the sock blanks that I just showed you, the Sprigs and Baubles one. There should be hopefully a few more of those. Today, like I said, I'll be dyeing 7 Deadly Sins today. And then if I have time, I hope to get Mountain House Winter dyed, but probably only maybe a couple skeins of that. And also the other, and that'll be on Bounce. And then the other one I'm planning to do today is Dark Side, which, remember, I did the Star Wars colors, Light Side, Dark Side. Dark Side's the best seller, and that's the one that was mentioned in the favorites. So I'll be doing Dark Side on both Bounce and Bedazzled. That does not take care of all of the favorite requests. There was a request for Cold Snap. I'm already planning to do Cold Snap for an update in January, so that will be coming. And if I do not get Mountain House Winter done for this update, I will also do that in January, like the first update in January. I had a lot of requests for Guy colors, you know, meaning like darker colors and neutrals. So I am planning to do a specific Guy colors update. I will do that in January, and I'm going to say it's probably going to be my second update in January. So you can stay tuned for that. I also had some requests for a Tippy colorway. I'm still working on that one. I want to do it because I've had a lot of requests for it. So stay tuned. Hopefully there will be a Tippy colorway coming your way soon. But that is it for this coming week's update. What I want to let you know, again, that update is Wednesday, the 20th at 6 p.m. But what I'm going to be doing is something I do every year between Christmas and New Year's, and I'll be running my end of the year sale. And that's going to start on the following Wednesday, the 27th, and it'll run from that Wednesday through Monday, January 1st. That'll be 20% off everything in the shop. I will be putting a coupon code up for that. I do not have the coupon code set yet, and I'm not going to advertise it right now just because that will lead to confusion and people will think it's valid now and it's not. And so what I'm going to do, because I'm not sure when I'm going to get to record next, it'll be somewhere between Christmas and New Year's I'll record again, but it may not be by the time the sale starts. So I will post the coupon code on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group in Ravelry. I will post it in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works page on Facebook, and I will post it in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works account on Instagram. So those will be 3 places you can definitely find the coupon code prior to the sale starting that next Wednesday, the 27th. So, you know, the stuff going up in the update this week, there might be some of that left. There might not. You know, you can judge whether you want to hang out and wait and hope there's something there that you want. But if not, you might want to grab it this week. But whatever is left in the shop at the end of the year, that's going into the sale. And if it's already something that's discounted, then you get an extra discount, which is pretty awesome too. Last thing I want to let you know is I am going to be hosting a self-striping yarn club Signups will go up in January, and the theme for it is going to be happy hour. So I'm really excited about that. I have my colorways already planned, what they're going to be, but as always, that'll be a surprise. But you can pretty much take it from the theme, happy hour. All of the self-striping colorways are going to be themed around adult beverages. So you can look forward to that. And I'm working with another maker who is going to hopefully be supplying some extras that will come along with each of those shipments. I will have more information about that in the beginning of January. So stay tuned for that. And I'm very excited about it. I hope you will be too. All right, that's everything for this week. I feel like I've got a lot going on here. I'm going to try to put this podcast together now and do the editing so that I can get the rest of my dyeing done. Have a lovely week. I hope you are not going insane with your holiday preparations. Take some time to just relax and be calm, maybe have some tea, do a little knitting, just in the midst of the busy. It's okay, you're allowed. I give you permission. But you don't really need my permission or anybody's. Just, take a little time for yourself. All right, that's everything. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. And this is my fuzzy little co-host this morning, apparently, Tippy. You haven't seen her in a little while. Look how big she's gotten. And she's purring like crazy. She's not usually allowed in here, but I was carrying things in that I wanted to show you. And I had the door open seriously for like a split second, and I could have sworn she was sleeping on a chair out there. And the next thing I know, she's behind the couch in here. I don't know how she does it. Anyway, I've found that it's fruitless to try to chase her in here, so I just sat and waited for her to decide to emerge from behind the Christmas tree and the couch and everything. But since she was here, I thought maybe I would just give you a little Tippy preview, or not really a preview, a Tippy... what's the word I'm looking for? Cameo. It's Tippy Cameo. So I'm going to go evict her from the room because she's not going to sit on my lap quietly like a, docile kitty. So I'll be right back.